The Galactic Ultimatum. The vast chamber of the Galactic Council's assembly buzzed with the low hum of alien languages, each delegate conversing in their native tongue. At the center of it all stood High Chancellor Varkin, his scaled face gleaming under the chamber's golden light. He raised a clawed hand, and silence fell. "We have given this primitive planet enough time," he growled, his voice echoing through the room. "Earth has advanced far too quickly for a species that once gazed at the stars with wonder. Now they dare to act as if they are equals among us." A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly. The Galactic Council, an alliance of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations, had long maintained its dominance through fear and tribute. Whenever a planet showed promise, the Council would impose its will, demanding resources, technology, or servitude. Compliance meant survival. Resistance meant annihilation. "High Chancellor," a serpentine delegate hissed, "what is our demand for Earth?" Varkin's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Earth will deliver half of its natural resources to us within one galactic cycle. Should they refuse, we will send our fleet to claim the tribute by force." The chamber erupted in applause, though a few members exchanged uneasy glances. They had seen the Council crush countless civilizations, but Earth was different. Its rapid technological advancements and rumored military projects made some uneasy. On Earth, the ultimatum arrives. The skies over Geneva were clear as humanity's leaders gathered in the United Earth Federation headquarters. Inside the sleek, glass-walled chamber, the air was heavy with tension. A hologram of High Chancellor Varkin towered over the room, his reptilian features twisted in disdain. "People of Earth," he began, his voice cold and commanding, "the Galactic Council has deemed your planet too ambitious. Your technological progress is a threat to the balance of power in this galaxy. Therefore, you must surrender half of your planet's resources to us. Failure to comply will result in the annihilation of your species." The hologram flickered, revealing images of the Council's fleet. Massive, sleek warships equipped with weapons capable of reducing planets to rubble. "You have 1 week to decide," Varkin said, his voice filled with cruel certainty. "I suggest you choose wisely." The hologram vanished, leaving the room in a stunned silence. President Malcolm Rivera, leader of the United Earth Federation, leaned back in his chair. "They expect us to surrender like cowards," he said, his voice laced with anger. "Do we have a choice?" asked one of the military advisors. "Their fleet is massive. If we resist, we could lose everything." Dr. Ilara Voss, Earth's chief strategist, stood from her seat. Her sharp eyes swept over the room. "We have a choice," she said firmly. "And that choice is to fight." The room erupted in protests and arguments. Some leaders argued that resistance was futile, while others supported Voss's bold stance. "Enough," President Rivera's voice cut through the noise. He turned to Dr. Voss. "What exactly are you proposing?" Dr. Voss tapped on her tablet, and a hologram of Earth's secret fleet appeared. These were not the outdated vessels the Council expected from a primitive planet. They were sleek, heavily armed ships equipped with cutting-edge stealth and weapon systems. "For years, we've prepared for this," Voss explained. "We knew the Council would eventually turn its gaze on us. These ships are the result of decades of research and development. With the right strategy, we can hold them off." A nervous energy filled the room. Some leaders still looked uncertain, but others began to nod. A divided Earth. As news of the ultimatum spread, Earth's citizens reacted with a mix of fear and defiance. Protests broke out in major cities, with some demanding surrender to save lives, and others urging the government to stand strong. In a small apartment in New York City, 15-year-old Noah Parker watched the news with his grandfather. The images of the Galactic Council's fleet filled the screen, and Noah's eyes widened. "Grandpa, do you think we'll survive?" The old man placed a reassuring hand on Noah's shoulder. "We're humans, Noah. We've faced impossible odds before, and we've always found a way to win." The final decision. Back in Geneva, The United Earth Federation reconvened to make their decision. President Rivera stood at the head of the table, his expression grim. "We have two options," he said. "Surrender and watch our planet be drained of its resources, or fight and risk everything." Dr. Voss rose from her seat. "If we surrender now, the Council will bleed us dry. They will return again and again until there's nothing left. But if we fight, we can show the galaxy that Earth is not to be trifled with. We can inspire other oppressed civilizations to rise up. This is not just about survival. It's about freedom." A heavy silence followed her words. Slowly, one by one, the leaders began to nod. President Rivera took a deep breath. "Then it's decided. We will not surrender. Earth will stand and fight." The room erupted in a mix of cheers and determined silence. The decision had been made. Humanity would not bow to the Galactic Council. Humanity's silent preparations. The United Earth Federation's decision to fight back was bold, but the real challenge lay ahead. The Galactic Council's fleet was vast, advanced, and battle-tested. Earth's leaders knew they had little time to prepare, but they also knew the element of surprise was their greatest weapon. Mobilizing the hidden fleet. At the edge of the dark side of the moon, a vast hangar opened, revealing a sight that had been hidden from the galaxy for decades. Earth's secret fleet. It wasn't the patchwork collection of outdated ships the Galactic Council expected from a backwater planet. These were advanced vessels, built in secrecy with the combined knowledge and resources of the united humanity. The Eclipse, Earth's flagship, was the pride of the fleet. Its sleek, black hull seemed to absorb the light around it, and its advanced cloaking system rendered it invisible to most sensors. Captain Leon Hayes stood on its bridge, surveying the activity as engineers and crew prepared for deployment. "How long until we're combat-ready?" Hayes asked his first officer, Commander Lena Torres. 48 hours, sir," Torres replied, her voice steady despite the tension. "Weapon systems are online, and the fleet is assembling." Hayes nodded. "Good. The Council won't know what hit them." Strategic planning. Back on Earth, Dr. Ilara Voss worked tirelessly with her team of strategists. A massive holographic display filled the room, showing the projected movements of the Galactic Council's fleet. "They'll arrive in 3 waves, Voss explained, pointing to the hologram. "The first wave will be their scouts, testing our defenses. The second will be their main fleet, designed to overwhelm us. The third, that's their hammer. If we survive the first 2, the third will try to crush whatever remains." One of the junior strategists looked uneasy. "And our chances?" Voss glanced at him, her expression unreadable. "Slim, but not impossible. If we can disrupt their first wave and weaken their main fleet, the third wave will be vulnerable." President Rivera, who had been silently observing, stepped forward. "What do you need from us?" "Unity," Voss replied. "Every nation, every resource, every mind. We need the entire planet working together if we're going to stand a chance." The public divide. While Earth's leaders worked in secret, the general population was left in the dark. The Council's ultimatum had sparked global unrest. Some believed surrender was the only way to ensure humanity's survival, while others demanded resistance. In London, a protest march filled the streets, with banners reading "Submit to survive" and "Fight for freedom." Tensions were high, with arguments breaking out between the two sides. In the crowd, journalist Maya Lin filmed the chaos for her independent news channel. She turned to her cameraman. "The world is teetering on the edge. People don't know what's happening behind the scenes. If they did, maybe they'd stop fighting each other and start preparing for what's coming." A fateful discovery. At the same time, deep in the Antarctic tundra, a research team stumbled upon an ancient artifact buried beneath the ice. It was a massive cylindrical object, covered in strange, glowing symbols. Dr. Raj Patel, the head scientist, stared at the artifact in awe. This isn't from Earth. It's a weapon, or maybe a ship. Whatever it is, it predates our history." The team quickly contacted Dr. Voss, who immediately dispatched a team to investigate. "If this artifact is what I think it is," Voss said, "it could change the tide of the war." The first encounter. The deep silence of space was interrupted by the faint hum of scout ships as the Galactic Council's vanguard approached the outer edges of the solar system. These were sleek, fast vessels, designed for reconnaissance rather than direct combat, but they were still formidable. Their mission was simple: gather intelligence on Earth's defenses and report back. On the bridge of the Eclipse, Captain Leon Hayes stood at the center of the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back. The dim light from the holographic displays cast a faint glow on his face, accentuating his sharp features. Around him, the crew worked silently, monitoring the incoming enemy ships. "Status report," Hayes said, his voice calm but firm. Commander Lena Torres glanced at her console. 5 Council scout ships detected. They're moving in a standard search pattern near Jupiter's orbit. "Have they detected us?" "Not yet, sir. Our cloaking systems are holding." Hayes nodded. "Good. Let's keep it that way. We're not ready to reveal our hand just yet." The scout leader's suspicion. Aboard the lead scout ship, Commander Vrel of the Council's vanguard studied the readings on his console. His reptilian eyes narrowed as he analyzed the data. Something didn't feel right. "Report," Vrel barked, his voice sharp and commanding. One of his officers turned toward him. "No signs of active defenses or fleet movement, Commander. Earth appears unprepared." Vrel hissed, a sound of frustration. "That's what bothers me. These humans are either exceptionally foolish or dangerously clever. Maintain full sensor suites. I want every rock, moon, and signal in this system scanned." A tactical decision. On the Eclipse, Captain Hayes listened to the enemy's communication chatter, intercepted by their advanced stealth systems. He turned to Dr. Ilara Voss, who was observing the situation from a nearby console. "They're looking for us," Hayes said. Voss nodded. "They won't leave until they find something. If we let them go, they'll report back, and the main fleet will come fully prepared." "So we engage?" Torres asked. Hayes hesitated for a moment. "Not directly. If we strike now, we'll give away the element of surprise. We need to neutralize them quietly." Voss's eyes lit up with an idea. "What about the Shadow-class drones? They're small, undetectable, and perfect for silent takedowns." Hayes smirked. "Deploy them. Let's show these scouts what humans are capable of." The silent hunt. From the Eclipse, a swarm of small, stealth drones launched into the void. Each drone was no larger than a human fighter jet, equipped with advanced cloaking systems and precision weaponry. They glided through space like phantoms, invisible to the Council's sensors. Inside the lead scout ship, Vrel's instincts screamed danger. He tapped into the ship's communication network. "All units, stay alert. I have a feeling we're not alone." But it was already too late. One by one, the Council's scout ships were disabled with surgical precision. The drones targeted critical systems, engines, communication arrays, and weapons, leaving the ships adrift and powerless. Aboard the disabled lead ship, Vrel slammed his fist against the console as the lights flickered. "What's happening?" "Commander, we've lost propulsion and communication. Our systems are being taken out, but we can't detect any enemy ships." Vrel's eyes widened in realization. "This isn't a primitive species. We've been deceived." Back on the Eclipse, drones have completed their sweep, Captain, Torres reported. "All enemy ships are disabled. No casualties on their side, and they can't send a distress signal." Hayes nodded, satisfied. "Good work. Bring the drones back. We'll leave their ships drifting as a message. Let them wonder what happened here." Dr. Voss stepped forward. "This was just the first wave. When the Council realizes their scouts have gone dark, they'll come in force. Then we'll be ready," Hayes replied. The second wave. The Galactic Council's second wave was no mere reconnaissance mission. It was a fleet designed to crush resistance and demonstrate the Council's dominance. Massive warships, bristling with weapons, moved in formation, their engines glowing against the darkness of space. At their helm was Admiral Xarath, a veteran commander with a reputation for ruthlessness. Earth's preparations. On the Eclipse, Captain Hayes stood in the war room with his key officers. A holographic display showed the incoming fleet, each ship marked with red indicators. Admiral Xarath doesn't waste time, Dr. Ilara Voss noted, her tone grim. He's bringing enough firepower to destroy an entire planet. How long until they reach our defense perimeter? Hayes asked. 16 hours, Torres replied. But if they accelerate, it could be less. Hayes studied the display. We can't match their numbers in a direct fight. We need to divide their fleet and take them out in smaller groups. Voss nodded. Agreed. I've been analyzing their formation. Xarath is methodical, but that means he's predictable. If we exploit his patterns, we can disrupt their cohesion. The trap. The plan was set. Using Earth's advanced stealth technology, the fleet would lure portions of the Council's armada into ambush points. The asteroid belt, with its dense fields of debris and hidden choke points, was the perfect battleground. Small teams of Earth's warships, led by the Eclipse, deployed to strategic positions. Armed with experimental weapons and reinforced shields, they waited in silence. Admiral Xarath's advance. On the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion, Xarath watched as his fleet approached the asteroid belt. His second-in-command, Commander Vrak, voiced a concern. Admiral, this terrain is ideal for ambushes. The humans may be hiding here. Xarath's lip curled in disdain. Let them. They cannot hide forever. We will sweep the belt and flush them out. Vrak hesitated. Shall I deploy the scout squadrons? Xarath shook his head. No. We'll go in force. The humans are clever, but they lack the strength to face us directly. Prepare the fleet for a full assault. The first skirmish. As Xarath's fleet entered the asteroid belt, the Eclipse launched its attack. The ambush began with a coordinated strike. Earth's warships emerged from the shadows, their weapons unleashing precise, devastating volleys. One Council warship exploded, its hull torn apart by kinetic railguns. Another was disabled by EMP pulses, its systems flickering and failing. Chaos erupted as the Council's formation broke apart. Aboard the Dominion. Admiral, we're under attack. Multiple ships have been disabled, a tactical officer reported. Xarath's eyes narrowed. So they've chosen to fight. Excellent. Order the fleet to regroup and counterattack. Focus fire on their largest ships. They won't withstand our firepower for long. Earth's counterplay. The Council's fleet responded quickly, their superior numbers pressing the attack. Earth's warships, smaller but more maneuverable, darted through the asteroid field, using the terrain to their advantage. Captain Hayes, aboard the Eclipse, gave rapid-fire orders. Target their engines and weapon systems. We don't need to destroy them, just slow them down. Torres called out, Enemy ships are adapting, sir. They're focusing on our flanking units. Pull them back, Hayes said. Draw the Council deeper into the belt. They'll lose their advantage in the tight spaces. A desperate gamble. Despite their successes, the battle was taking its toll. Earth's fleet was outnumbered, and several ships had already been lost. On the Eclipse, tension filled the air as reports of casualties poured in. We can't keep this up, Voss said, her voice low. There are too many. Hayes clenched his fists. We just need to hold them a little longer. Voss, is the payload ready? Voss nodded. It's risky, but yes, the seismic charges are primed. Hayes turned to Torres. Get us in position. If this works, we'll cripple their fleet. If it doesn't, Torres finished the thought. We won't be around to worry about it. The seismic charges. The Eclipse led a small team of ships deep into the asteroid belt, baiting the Council's fleet into pursuit. At a prearranged point, Earth's ships dropped seismic charges, devices capable of triggering massive asteroid collisions. As the charges detonated, the asteroid field erupted into chaos. Massive rocks collided, creating a deadly cascade that tore through the pursuing ships. The Council's fleet was caught in the destruction, their formations shattered. Humanity's hidden arsenal. The aftermath of the asteroid battle left the Galactic Council's fleet reeling. Wreckage from dozens of ships floated aimlessly, a grim reminder of their miscalculation. Yet, aboard the Dominion, Admiral Xarath was far from defeated. His fury only hardened his resolve to crush the humans once and for all. The Council's next move. Admiral Xarath paced the bridge of his flagship. The once confident demeanor of his officers had been replaced by unease. "Status report," Xarath barked. Commander Vrak, visibly shaken, responded. "Our forces are regrouping, Admiral, but we've lost over half our fleet. Reinforcements are en route, but it will take time for them to arrive." "Time we don't have," Xarath growled. His gaze fell on the holographic map of the solar system. "The humans have revealed their strength. It's time we reveal ours. Prepare the antimatter weapons." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. Deploying antimatter bombs was a declaration of total annihilation. Xarath noticed their hesitation and slammed his fist on the console. "Do you doubt my orders?" he hissed. "No, Admiral," Vrak replied quickly. "I'll see to it immediately." Earth's secret meeting. On Earth, in a heavily secured underground bunker, humanity's leaders and military commanders convened to discuss their next move. The air was tense, the weight of impending annihilation heavy on everyone's shoulders. General Marcus Reed addressed the room. "The Council's retreat is temporary. Our intelligence indicates they're preparing to use weapons of mass destruction. If they succeed, Earth won't stand a chance." "What about the Archimedes Protocol?" a voice from the back of the room asked. The room fell silent. The Archimedes Protocol was humanity's last resort, an arsenal of ancient weapons buried deep beneath Earth's surface. These weapons, relics of a long-forgotten era, had been deemed too dangerous to use. Dr. Ilara Voss, who had joined the meeting remotely from the eclipse, spoke up. "We don't have a choice. If we're to survive, we must activate the protocol." There were murmurs of dissent, but General Reed silenced them. "The Council won't show mercy. It's time we stop holding back." Uncovering the arsenal. In a remote desert, hidden beneath layers of rock and sand, a massive underground facility came to life. Engineers and soldiers worked tirelessly, unearthing ancient machines and weapon systems. These weren't just weapons, they were marvels of engineering, centuries ahead of even the Council's technology. Among the arsenal was the Helios cannon, a solar-powered weapon capable of unleashing energy bursts strong enough to destroy entire fleets. There were also chronodrones, advanced AI-driven units that could predict and counter enemy movements with uncanny precision. Captain Hayes, overseeing the operation via hologram, spoke to General Reed. "We're deploying the Helios cannon to orbit immediately. If Xarath wants a war, we'll give him one." The Council's final push. Admiral Xarath's reinforcements arrived sooner than expected. Hundreds of warships poured through a massive wormhole, forming an intimidating armada. Xarath stood at the forefront, his eyes locked on the blue and green sphere of Earth. "This ends now," Xarath declared. "Prepare the antimatter bombs. Target their cities, their defenses, everything." The surprise counterattack. As the Council's fleet approached Earth, the Helios cannon activated. From its orbital position, the weapon unleashed a blinding beam of concentrated solar energy. The beam tore through the lead Council ships, vaporizing them instantly. On the eclipse, Torrids cheered. Direct hit. They didn't see it coming. Hayes remained focused. "Keep the pressure on. Deploy the chronodromes to intercept their bombers." The drones, small and agile, moved like a swarm of wasps. They targeted the Council's antimatter carriers, disabling them with pinpoint accuracy. One by one, The bombs were neutralized before they could be launched. Xarath's fury. On the Dominion, Xarath was livid. What are these weapons? How did humans develop such technology? Vrak hesitated before responding. It's possible they've had these weapons hidden for centuries. Admiral, we underestimated them. Xarath slammed his fists on the console. Enough. Bring the flagship into range. I'll destroy them myself. The turning tide. Earth's forces, emboldened by their success, pressed the attack. The Eclipse led a squadron of ships in a daring assault on the Dominion. The flagship's shields were strong, but they couldn't withstand the combined firepower of Earth's fleet. Torres reported, Admiral Xarath's ship is heavily damaged, Captain. They're retreating. Hayes nodded. Let them run. Today, we've shown them what humanity is capable of. The Council's desperate gambit. The Galactic Council's retreat was more than a mere regrouping. Behind the scenes, their most powerful minds scrambled to devise a way to reclaim dominance over Earth. The loss of their fleet had shaken the foundations of their authority across the galaxy, and whispers of rebellion were beginning to spread. Admiral Xarath sat in the council chamber, his voice dripping with barely contained rage. We underestimated them. Their technology surpasses anything we've seen. If we wait, they'll become unstoppable. One of the senior counselors, Elder Valus, leaned forward, his eyes cold and calculating. We have one option left, the Eraser Protocol. Gasps filled the chamber. The Eraser Protocol was a forbidden strategy, targeting the planetary core to destroy a world entirely. It was an act of genocide, but the Council was growing desperate. The Shadow Fleet. In the shadow of a dying star, a hidden fleet began to awaken. These weren't ordinary ships. They were the Eclipse-class destroyers, relics of a war so ancient that even the Council had sought to erase it from history. Each ship carried enough firepower to decimate a planet. Admiral Xarath was entrusted with the fleet. Standing aboard the Oblivion, the largest destroyer, he gazed at the hologram of Earth. This is humanity's last day, he said coldly. Earth prepares for the worst. On Earth, the mood was grim. Intelligence reports from intercepted Council communications hinted at a catastrophic plan. General Reed addressed the gathered leaders, his voice steady but grim. The Council isn't retreating. They're preparing for something far worse. Dr. Ilara Voss, connected remotely, expanded on the situation. If they activate the Eraser Protocol, Earth's core will destabilize. The planet would be destroyed in minutes. How do we stop them? Asked one of the leaders. Ilara hesitated. There's one way, but it's risky. The Archimedes offensive. In a hidden Earth facility, engineers worked tirelessly to modify one of their ancient weapons, the Archimedes cannon. Originally designed as a defensive weapon, it was now being adapted for an offensive strike. Captain Hayes, watching from the observation deck, frowned. You're suggesting we fire directly at their fleet before they reach Earth? Dr. Voss nodded. It's our only chance. If we wait for them to attack, it'll be too late. General Reed agreed. We need to take the fight to them. The final confrontation. The Shadow Fleet emerged from hyperspace, dark and foreboding, near the asteroid belt. Admiral Xarath stood on the bridge of the Oblivion, confident in his victory. Prepare the planetary destabilizers, he ordered. Suddenly, alarms blared. Admiral, incoming fleet detected. Earth's ships, led by the Eclipse, burst into the system. But this time, they weren't alone. The ancient drones and automated warships of the Archimedes arsenal had been reactivated, forming a vast armada. Captain Hayes sent a transmission. You came here to destroy us. Now you face the fury of humanity. A battle for survival. The battle was chaos. Earth's fleet used their advanced drones to outmaneuver the Council's destroyers, targeting weak points with precision strikes. The Helios cannon fired from orbit, ripping through the Council's formation. But the Oblivion was a fortress. Its shields withstood every attack, and its planetary destabilizer began to charge. Xarath sneered. They fought well, but it's over now. On the Eclipse, Torrid shouted, we're not breaking through their shields. Hayes clenched his fists. Then we used the Archimedes cannon. The risky plan. The Archimedes cannon required enormous energy to fire. Dr. Voss explained the stakes. If we fire at this range, the energy release could destabilize our own fleet. But it's our only shot. General Reed gave the order. Do it. The cannon, buried deep beneath Earth's surface, powered up. Across the planet, lights flickered as it drained massive amounts of energy. Hayes gave the signal. All ships, clear the path. A blinding flash. The Archimedes cannon fired, its energy tearing through space in a brilliant beam of light. The Oblivion shields held for a moment before shattering. The beam pierced the ship, igniting its core. Admiral Xarath's final words were a whisper, impossible. The Oblivion exploded, taking half the Shadow Fleet with it. The remaining ships, leaderless and disorganized, began to retreat. Victory and a warning. As the battle ended, Earth's leaders gathered once more. The victory had come at a great cost, but humanity had survived. General Reed spoke. The Council won't forget this. We've shown them our strength, but now we must prepare for the future. Dr. Voss added, the Archimedes arsenal is powerful, but it's also dangerous. We need to use it wisely. Captain Hayes, standing aboard the Eclipse, looked out at the stars. They thought they could demand tribute from us. Now they know. We're not just survivors. We're fighters. The Council's ultimate weapon. The Galactic Council's defeat was a bitter pill to swallow. Across the galaxy, their authority had been shaken, their reputation tarnished. On the Council's homeworld, the High Chamber convened in a session unlike any before. The room was silent, heavy with tension as Elder Valus addressed the assembly. We underestimated them once. He began, his voice sharp and deliberate. We will not make that mistake again. Humanity has proven to be a threat unlike any other. It's time we wield the power we've kept hidden for millennia. An ancient secret. Deep beneath the Council's citadel lay a vault forgotten by all but a few. It was a relic of an era predating even the Council itself. A superweapon known as Erebus Prime. Built by an extinct civilization, it was said to wield the power to collapse entire star systems. Elder Valus led a group of scientists and military leaders to the vault. The doors creaked open, revealing a colossal sphere pulsating with an eerie glow. A scientist hesitated. Elder, activating this device could destabilize our own systems. It was sealed for a reason. Valus's gaze was cold. Humanity has forced our hand. We either use it, or we risk losing the galaxy to them. Earth's preparation. On Earth, the mood was tense but hopeful. The Council's fleet had been defeated, and for the first time in centuries, humanity stood united against a common enemy. But there was no room for complacency. General Reed stood before a holographic map of the galaxy, pointing to regions near the Council's core world. Our intelligence suggests they're regrouping. But we've intercepted transmissions about something called Erebus. Dr. Ilara Voss frowned. Erebus. If the legends are true, it's a super weapon capable of collapsing stars. We need more information. Fast. Captain Hayes, now a symbol of Earth's resistance, stepped forward. If they're planning to use this weapon, we need to strike first. We can't wait for them to bring it to us. A race against time. A daring plan was put into motion. Earth's best spies and operatives were sent on a covert mission to infiltrate the Council's core world and gather intelligence on Erebus Prime. Agent Soren, a skilled operative with a reputation for success, led the team. As they approached the Council's citadel in a stealth ship, Soren briefed his crew. We're not here to fight. We're here to find out what Erebus is, and, if possible, disable it. The mission was high risk, and every crew member knew the odds. Discovery and despair. Inside the Citadel, Soren's team navigated through tight security, using advanced cloaking tech to avoid detection. When they finally reached the vault, what they saw sent chills down their spines. Erebus Prime wasn't just a weapon. It was a living entity, its core pulsating with dark energy. Soren whispered into his comms, "We've confirmed the weapon. It's operational and linked to the Council's power grid. If they fire it, entire systems could be wiped out." "What about disabling it?" someone asked. Soren shook his head. "Not from here. This thing is protected by layers of failsafes. We'll need to destroy it at its source, on the battlefield." Humanity's bold move. Back on Earth, the report from Soren's team was met with grim determination. The Council was preparing to unleash Erebus Prime, and there was no time to lose. Dr. Voss proposed a daring strategy. "We need to bait them into using it. If we can draw their fleet out and isolate Erebus, we might have a chance to destroy it." Captain Hayes nodded. "And what happens if they fire it before we reach them?" Voss looked down. "Then we're out of options. The final battle begins. Earth's fleet mobilized, heading directly for the Council's core world." The journey was perilous, with ambushes along the way, but humanity pressed on. When they finally arrived, the Council's fleet was waiting, forming a defensive wall around Erebus Prime. Admiral Valus appeared on the comms, his voice dripping with malice. "You should have stayed in your corner of the galaxy. Now, witness the end of your defiance." Erebus Prime began to glow, its power building as it prepared to fire. A desperate gamble. Captain Hayes issued orders. "All ships, focus fire on Erebus. We need to destroy it before it can charge." The battle was chaotic, with Earth's fleet outnumbered and outgunned. But humanity's resilience shone through. Advanced tactics and fearless pilots managed to break through the Council's formation. As Erebus Prime's energy reached its peak, Hayes made a fateful decision. "We're out of time. Activate the Archimedes cannon. Target Erebus directly." A blinding explosion. The Archimedes cannon fired, its energy beam cutting through space and striking Erebus Prime. For a moment, the weapon resisted, its shields absorbing the blast. Then, with a deafening roar, Erebus's core collapsed, imploding in a surge of dark energy. The shockwave rippled across the system, disabling the Council's remaining fleet and leaving their leaders in disarray. Victory, at a cost. Humanity had won, but the cost was steep. Dozens of Earth's ships were lost, and the galaxy was left on the brink of chaos. General Reed addressed the survivors. "This isn't the end. The Council will try again. But today, we've shown them that humanity will not bow." Dr. Voss added, "Erebus Prime is gone, but its destruction has destabilized the Council's power. The galaxy is watching, and we must be ready for what comes next." Captain Hayes, standing on the bridge of the eclipse, looked out at the stars. "We've proven we belong in this galaxy. Now it's time to shape our future."